Just ahead on American Black Journal, I'll talk with the owner of a popular Detroit eatery about hiring challenges in the restaurant industry and the city's growing food scene. Plus, a milestone anniversary for the Temptations' signature Motown song. Stay right there. American Black Journal starts now.
Masco Corporation is proud to manufacture innovative and environmentally friendly products for the home. Delta faucets, craft-made in Merillat cabinets, and Behr brand paints have all been designed with you in mind. Masco and its family of companies, serving Michigan communities since 1929.
Support also provided by the W.K. Kellogg Foundation, a partner with communities where children come first. The Cynthia and Etzel Ford Fund for Journalism at Detroit Public TV.
The DTE Foundation proudly supports 50 years of American Black Journal in covering African American history, culture, and politics. The DTE Foundation and American Black Journal, partners in presenting African American perspectives about our communities and in our world.
Also brought to you by Ally, Nissan Foundation, and viewers like you. Thank you.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. It's no secret that Detroit is fast becoming a food destination. More than 100 restaurants opened in Metro Detroit over the past 3 years. But there are also some growing pains. Thousands of food industry jobs go unfilled each year. My first guest owns the popular restaurant Kuzzo's Chicken and Waffles on Livernois, and he knows the challenges and finding and keeping good staff. I'd like to welcome Ron Bartell to American Black Journal.
Hey,
good to see you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. So in some ways, this is a good problem to have, right? This means things are going really well, but I know that at an eatery like yours, it still is a challenge, right? This idea of getting good people, keeping good people, and keeping things going.
Yeah, it's definitely been a challenge. I like to think that everybody we hire is good people. It's just, some of the challenges they face in their everyday lives, it affects our business. So, we're looking to do things differently, look at our hiring practice, looking at how we can not only provide people a paycheck, but how do we help with quality of life?
Yeah.
How do we help improve somebody's financial literacy, things of that nature. So, it's definitely a challenge. It's not what we thought we would have to deal with, but it's our reality, and it's something that we have to face head on.
Yeah. Talk about the growing food scene in Detroit. Like I said, the 100 restaurants have opened in Metro Detroit over 3 years. In the city of Detroit, though, we're seeing lots of people open new places all the time. How does that change the market for a guy like you? You've been around a while. Yeah,
the food scene is growing, especially the black food scene. Mm-hmm. I think there's an insatiable appetite for dining in the neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I live in the Palmer Woods neighborhood, so there's not a lot of options, but there's things coming. Mm-hmm. It's a great place for, people want to go to one place, centrally located, shop, eat, also enjoy entertainment, but for us, with the growing competition, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
I think there's strength in numbers. I think people should have options, and it also will make us step our game up. So, it's not a problem for us at all.
Yeah. There's a lot of construction going on around your restaurant and a lot of other people's restaurants too in the last year. Talk about where all that is. You had decided to close down for a bit while that was going on. You were going to reopen. Tell us where you are with all of that.
Yeah. So. It's been rough, as you know, because you live in the neighborhood as well.
Yeah.
So they're doing the streetscape. It's a necessary evil. It's to promote a more walkable neighborhood, extend the sidewalks, promote cafe seating, bike lanes, which I don't know if we actually need those, but that's another that's another conversation. But it's to the idea is to slow down traffic. If you have people driving 40, 50 miles per hour, they may not be able to see some of the beautiful businesses that are along the Avenue of Fashion. So they started in May. We didn't realize it was going to be this intrusive. For us personally, we had planned on closing so we could take advantage of the slow times to do some renovations, and also to recalibrate and reevaluate our staff and some of our practices and improve. But it's been tough. Some of the businesses over there, they're struggling. But that's why it's incumbent upon us, if we really enjoy these businesses, to make sure we patronize them, even if it's an inconvenience with the parking and things that are going on.
Yeah. The changes that they're making, as you point out, are going to make it a little more walkable, give you a wider sidewalk so that if you wanted to have outdoor seating, cafe seating, that kind of thing. How important is that along that stretch? I mean, you've been on that stretch for a while. Is that going to improve foot traffic and things like that along Livernois?
Well, we hope so. We hope so. I think you still need quality businesses so people want to be in the area.
Right.
So, the infrastructure is important. Like I said before, to have a stretch where that's for commercial businesses, we need slower traffic. With the way it was set up before, people were literally using it as a expressway. So
it was really fast.
It was really fast. So now traffic will go from 40, 50 miles per hour to 20, 25. You'll have these longer walkways to promote more seating. In the spring, I think it'll be exciting. We have a long line outside of our restaurant in the spring,
all the time.
That's not a bad thing to offer more seating outdoors. So with some of the things that are going on, some of the new restaurants like Table Number 2 opening, Good Times on the Ave. You have a huge development project down the street at the old B. Siegel building.
Right.
I'm working on another restaurant project with some partners as well. So I think it's an exciting time in the area. Like I said, but until we get to that point, we need to patronize the businesses that are over there struggling right now.
Yeah. Talk about being a small black business in Detroit right now. I mean, there are lots of tensions that always surround being a small business. There are lots of tensions around being a black business. I feel like this is a special time, though, for both of those things in the city, as the city changes and as we welcome more people in to open things and make money.
Well, it's we take pride in it. Especially, like I said, us being in the neighborhood. It's different to being downtown, midtown.
Downtown or midtown, right.
Some of the challenges are different, so we deal with these neighborhood challenges. And if we were going to be real, the neighborhoods of Detroit are suffering. Yeah. So we're dealing with people that are walking through our doors that are suffering. They have their issues that they face every single day. So the thing that we're trying to figure out is how do we not have that affect our business, because once you walk through that door, you still have a job to do, and people expect a certain level of service. And for us, I think that's been our biggest challenge, finding people that want to be in the hospitality field, that look at it as a career path, not just a job, and training them into what the level of services should be. But like I said, we facing it head on. This has been a great time for us to step back, recalibrate, redo some things in the back of the house from an operational standpoint, but also do some softer things in terms of what can we provide our staff to, so they have a better quality of life.
Yeah. I mean, your restaurant is really popular, and I would be surprised if anybody hadn't heard of it. And people, I think, assume that because it's popular, that it's easy for you.
Right, I wish.
You don't have these kind of problems. But I wonder, businesses that aren't as established as yours have to be having even a harder time, not just with things like this construction project, but all the other changes in the city of Detroit. I wonder if you have ideas about ways that they could be helped that we're not thinking of.
I just think there's strength in numbers, particularly for small black-owned restaurants. This is an industry that, that we've been shut out of just like a lot of other industries. So, I think if we could all collectively come together and talk about some of these challenges that we face, because we all face them. So, one of the things that I've been doing, we're partnering with the city, Detroit at Works. We're trying to come up with a hospitality program where, we'll hold a career fair, identify people that want to be in this field. They'll apply. If they're accepted, they get training for 2 weeks on some front of the house skills, back of the house skills at Bright Off Academy. It'll also have some financial literacy components, life skill components, and from there they'll be able to work at our place of business or Table Number 2 or Good Times on the Ave. So we're calling it Serve Up Livernois. It's geared towards for the Avenue of Fashion. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, congratulations,
Thank you.
and thanks for coming by.
I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Up next, a celebration for the Temptations' first chart-topping single. But first, here's a 1994 Detroit Black Journal interview about a new cookbook by Essence magazine food editor Janelle Nash.
One of the things that I found very interesting was when I began to read the book, I got to the section about greens.
Yes.
And I began to read where you talked about greens as the cruciferous plant that is actually a cancer fighter.
Yes.
This book has that kind of information in it. I find it absolutely fascinating. Talk a little
Right.
bit about
Yeah.
that.
Well, again, so much of the diet that's associated with our tradition, there's the image that it's bad for you.
Mm-hmm.
The whole soul food kind of just negative association. Whereas in actuality, the foods of our tradition are exceptionally healthful. You know, there are certain cooking methods and techniques that we definitely need to move away from. But the foods themselves tend to be inherently, you know, great tasting and very nourishing. And again, as you suggested, that whole cabbage family, which has sort of been subtitled the cancer fighters, in that it's the green cabbages, the kale, the collard greens that we love so well, broccoli, Brussels sprouts. They have more vitamin C in them than orange juice. And yet I think in some ways we take them for granted and don't know their real true worth and value. And the sweet potatoes, major source of vitamin A, beta carotene, a part of that triad of the new antioxidants. So you really don't have to go out and buy these supplements, you know, but if we do as our parents admonished us to, eat your vegetables, then it's very possible to have a very healthful and nourishing diet.
The year was 1964, and the Temptations had recorded what would become their first #1 single on the U.S. pop charts. My Girl was written and produced by Smokey Robinson and Ronald White of the Miracles for Motown Records' Gordy label. The song marked the debut of David Ruffin on lead vocals. Of course, it's not just the notes, it's also the steps that everybody remembers from that song and that video. The National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame is hosting a 55th anniversary celebration for My Girl on December 13th at Burt's in Detroit's Eastern Market District. The event will feature Temptations music and memorabilia. Here to tell us more are Lamont Robinson. He is the founder of the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame, and Cheryl Ruffin Robinson, who is the daughter of David Ruffin. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
Thanks for having
us. If you don't get chills when you watch that video, I think you are not from Detroit. You might not even be American, right?
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the 55th anniversary of that song and how we are going to celebrate it.
Well, we're going to celebrate one of the most iconic songs in music history, the Temptations, who I think is the greatest male group of all times.
Yeah.
And we just thought it was real cool to be able to celebrate the 55th year. They were inducted into the National Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame in 2013. And of course, my wife is the oldest daughter of David Ruffin. And we kind of kicked it around and talked about it with some other members, original members, children of the Temptations. And we said, okay, let's celebrate the 55th year. So here we go.
Yeah. So now, do you remember this song when your dad was performing it?
I remember. It was recorded in '64. And as a matter of fact, I was 4 years old at the time.
Okay,
and while he was recording it, I was in the studio on a stool.
Wow.
My mom dressed me up in yellow and white, this little dress and little pigtails, and he threw, I got the month of May in the song because my birthday is in May.
Oh, because that's...
So nobody knew that.
Look at that, wow.
And people thought he was singing to a woman, but he was singing to his daughter.
He was singing to his daughter, which is way more important. Do you remember if they knew when they were recording this how big of a deal it would be, how much it would...
I don't think they had an idea.
Yeah.
No, I don't
How
think
big
so.
it was.
Yeah.
But, you know, you can go to any country and two things outside the United States, they understand the word money in English and My Girl. You can hear them singing it. And you know, it's just great. It just went on and on. You know, you put it on today and it sounded like it was just yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And Bert's Entertainment Center said, hey, we got together and said, look, let's just do a big celebration. And Temptations is just great. I mean, and do it here in Detroit, where it all started, Motown Records, which is obviously the greatest record company to me in the world, and had the greatest artists in the Temptations. So we're looking forward to it. We're gonna have some memorabilia I've collected throughout the years, the Ruffin family. We're gonna put out some things of their dad, one of his coats, one of his jackets. So we're looking forward to it.
Yeah. Start time?
Right.
Start time, 8 o'clock?
So when you think back to that time and the years after it, which is when the group really blew up after this song, what do you remember from being a kid in the middle of all of that?
His performances.
Yeah.
His performances, even growing up and seeing him every day. Watching him perform, I'll be looking around at the audience because I'm excited, so I'm looking at their excitement.
Right.
So it was a life experience.
Yes.
Just great. I mean, you had 5 guys over 6 foot tall.
Right.
Nice looking guys, look like basketball players. And with the precision moving of the Temptations and their style, you know, after, you know, it started in the 1960s, they emulated most groups today, and people still emulate the Temptations.
Sure.
That just lets you know the impact of that group and Motown. So, you know, hat go off to the Temptations and David Ruffin, and you know, one of the good things that has happened in the course that with her dad, he's had 2 streets.
I was gonna say
Parkside,
Parkside, now, where you lived, right?
Right, where they lived at, and then also 3 weeks ago we were in Meridian, Mississippi, where he's from.
Okay.
Why not? But Meridian is part of it, and we talked to the city, and we just got back from there, and they named the street after him, right by Temple Theater, where he used to sing it as a child. And it's just great. This Temptation reunion, it was recorded December 21st, 1964. Then it really hit in 65, January 65, and became a smash, and we're loving it. So we're gonna be at Bert's at 8 o'clock. The doors open up until, and we're gonna play other music, but every other song will be a Temptation song.
There
through the anthology, so we're gonna have a great time, great time.
And one other thing, that song was voted into the Library of Congress.
Oh, it was?
In 2018.
Yeah. Wow, that's important
to
remember it. Tell us more about your effort with the Rhythm and Blues Hall of Fame. You've been here before talking about building it up and getting it to the place where you think it ought to be. Yeah,
well, you know, it's going to be a state-of-the-art, 50,000 square feet. We're talking with some developers now. We've had 8 successful induction ceremonies. 5 of them have been right here in Detroit. The last one was June 13th. Mary Wilson from the Supremes is our host. And we're just putting everything together, and we're gonna be making a huge announcement pretty soon. But we're looking forward to putting this together to be able to tell the story of the full history of rhythm and blues music, and also the gospel. You know, and it's gonna be great. We added a lot of things since I've moved from Cleveland to here in the last 5 years, but I think Detroit is the music capital of the world.
Yeah, we do too.
Oh yeah, oh, yeah, definitely.
Those of us who grew up here always talk about that. Talk about the sort of influences we see now of that kind of music on what people listen to now. I tell my kids all the time that the stuff they listen to, I'm like, this comes from somewhere.
Right.
Can't get them to listen to Motown all the time, though.
Well, you know, the influence is just heavy. I mean, it started back with the African beat drum in the 1800s and worked its way up. But rhythm and blues music has inspired all genres of music.
Right.
I mean,
Country,
all genres of music.
rock.
I mean, you name it, it comes from there. You can ask the Beatles, the Stones, the Who, and they all give credit to the rhythm and blues artists. And I know she has some stories about
Rod
that.
Stewart.
Rod Stewart was influenced by her dad.
Came to see and learn from your dad.
Oh yeah. And you know, you figure the Beatles did Please Mr. Postman.
Yeah.
You know, so the influence of music, African American music, R&B, gospel, jazz. I mean, Aretha Franklin now is seen as the greatest singer of all times to me, you know, and we're just very happy. And then Billboard named David Ruffin the 50th greatest singer of all time. So all that came out of that little house on West Grand Boulevard. So
Right.
hats go off to Motown.
Yeah, yeah. What else do you remember from growing up about the Temptations and how big a deal that was?
Going to concerts, picnics, family gatherings at different houses, like Otis. I grew up with Otis kids, not Otis, well, yeah, Lamont, he since passed, and Melvin's children. I'm friends with all of them, Paul Jr., all of them.
Yeah.
And then they have the great play on Broadway now, Temptations.
The Temptations, right?
Yeah, Broadway.
Yeah.
So, you know, hats
Got a
go
whole
off to
new
Otis Redding.
generation
Oh, yeah, a whole new generation.
experiencing that.
The Temptation fans, yeah. So
Yeah.
they have been celebrated, and like I say, those 5 tall guys look like basketball players, really set the tone for what's going on today. And again, you know, hats go off to Motown and everything they're doing. You know, they're building that.
I was going to say, that museum is about to change quite a bit too. Is there going to be a lot of crossover between your museum and theirs?
Well, you know, they'll both be in the same area.
Yeah.
You know, my hat goes off to Motown. Robin Terry's doing a fantastic job down there. You know, they're about halfway in raising the $50 million. And the 60th anniversary we attended, which was just marvelous. And Mr. Gordy came in town, and they had a 3-day celebration. So, you know, I applaud them. And, you know, to have both museums in the same city, and then right up the road, 2.5 hours, 3 hours, you got the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So when you come into this region,
it's about music.
It's about music.
Yeah.
And then we got Chicago too, so let's not leave Chicago out. You know, everything that's going on up there. So we're quite happy.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will see you for the 55th anniversary.
There you go. There you go. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for having us.
All right.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being
All right.
here.
Thanks.
Okay, that's our program for today. Go to AmericanBlackJournal.org for more information on our guests and to check out past episodes. Plus, you can always connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time.